Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler, author of A Saga on Home Video, and this time we take a look at the UK equivalent of something we've seen from the US that was pretty cool back in 2006. You may recall that in 2006 we saw the DVD re-release of the original Trilogy films. Now, most places essentially just got full screen and widescreen versions of the individual films in a 2-disc package like this one. The first disc was simply the 2004 DVD release reissued with a slightly updated label, so the label had an FBI warning on it and such. And then there was a second disc, and the second disc was a bonus disc featuring the supposedly unaltered version of that film from its theatrical release. Again, we've talked about this to death, but let's clarify again for those who aren't aware without going into too much detail, that basically the masters used for those bonus discs in 2006 were not the original versions of the films exactly. Instead, the masters were based on the 1993 Definitive Collection Laserdisc set, which means that it was after the picture and audio had been cleaned up for 1993. And in the case of A New Hope, had been cleaned up twice at that point, because it had been cleaned up in 1985 for later release starting in 1986. That's why some of the VHS releases back then say digitally mastered, and ones prior to 1985 do not. We should also note that the opening crawl of A New Hope that doesn't have the A New Hope subtitle or episode number on it was something never seen on home video prior to that, only in theaters. And that instead, basically what they did was they took a good film copy of the movie and scanned that in and replaced it within that 1993 master to create the version we got on that bonus disc. So, depending on whether you see cleaning things up as the original unaltered version, or a recreation of the unaltered version being different than the actual unaltered version, that sort of will determine whether these are truly unaltered versions in your opinion. For me, they're about as close as we're going to get probably ever on DVD or beyond, maybe, depending on what Disney does. But at least as of this point, it's one way to watch what is similar, very similar, to the theatrical releases. If nothing else, it's the closest thing to that you could watch on DVD. Put it that way. Okay, so when those came out, there was no boxed set. We wouldn't see a boxed set of them in the US until 2008. But if you went to Best Buy, you could sort of get a box set, because buying all three of them at Best Buy gave you the option to get this. This was the Best Buy exclusive collector's tin from that year. We have the image there that looks similar to the design of some of our posters we've seen before, Star Wars Trilogy, names of the films with the numbers behind them. The side that opens here, we've got Lucasfilm logo, Star Wars Trilogy logo, images of the logos of each film, 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, down there at the bottom, very small. The back, essentially the images of poster-style cover art for each film, and next to it the logo for the films. The side with the hinges on it essentially looking like the front. The top, Star Wars Trilogy. The bottom, Star Wars Trilogy, except other orientation there. And it's just a tin, and notice it opens from both sides with the films kind of stuck in between. So which one's the bottom, which one's the top was kind of up to you, but this was meant to be the thing that's supposed to be facing outward while it's on store shelves. Now, I've had some people over the years say, well, I've got one of those, except mine didn't come from Best Buy, so you're lying about it being an exclusive. Bullshit alert, bullshit alert. No, in the US, this was a Best Buy exclusive, but this wasn't the only market where you could get it. You could get that same tin by picking up copies in, say, the UK, or if you wanted it to say something a little bit different, say the anniversary name up at the top, the 30th anniversary name in that case, you could have waited a year, and in 2007, you could have picked it up from Australia and gotten a tin like that. The tin itself was a lot like the way things work with steelbooks these days, where you have the WWA steelbooks that show up in multiple regions, but maybe in your particular region, it's exclusive to one place. Just like now, Last Jedi, Rogue One, Force Awakens, steelbooks that are exclusive in the US to Best Buy. But with the exception of Last Jedi, you'll find similar WWA steelbooks in other regions, possibly exclusive to that region, like in the UK to Zavvi, possibly more widely released, depending on what region you're in. So another way you could have gotten that nice tin, and these days what sometimes is maybe an easier, cheaper way to do it, would be to get the UK version instead. And I actually like the UK version because unlike the US ones that just are the product itself, the UK tends to always have those nice little sort of cardboard cups that products fit into that make it look a little nicer on the shelf. You have the product, and then you have the way the product is displayed that are slightly different. And I kind of like that. It's a little thing, but I kind of like it. So what we want to look at this time is the UK equivalent of this Best Buy exclusive in the collector's tin. This is the UK version. Notice it doesn't say anything on any of the labels for this about being a Best Buy exclusive or anything like that, because that's not the chain that would have had an exclusive in the UK. I've heard conflicting reports on whether this was an exclusive in the UK or not. So please clarify this for me in the comments if you're someone who was over there and does have clear knowledge of whether or not this was a retailer exclusive in the UK. But this is the version the UK got. You got a sticker on here that of course could be removed. 6-disc set includes both the digitally remastered and original cinema versions of each film. For the record, the Best Buy one instead has a Best Buy label and then says exclusive collector's tin includes all 3 DVDs. So this sticker is going to be different depending on whether it was from the UK or from the US. It's an easy way to tell them apart. You know, unless of course like me for your US one you took the sticker off years ago, so now you really can't tell just by looking at the tin. Oops. What can I say? I wasn't a collector at the time. Leave me alone. Okay, so the tin itself is effectively the same, except what you're going to find is that it's a little bit thicker. I like the look of the tin a little bit more in the UK version. Let's take a look at the cardboard thing first. Star Wars Trilogy, names of the films with the logos at the bottom, DVD plus the ratings on either side. The cardboard piece has Star Wars Trilogy again on the one side, and the other side has 20th Century Fox, Home Entertainment logo, has your product number, your ratings, and then the logo again there. And the back of it gives you information about each of the films, some tech specs that'll go across the board, legalese, and then your ratings. But that, of course, is just that cardboard, I call it a cup. I don't know if it actually has a name, but cup to put the product into. And then here is your tin. Looks very similar from the front. Looks similar from the back. But what you'll find is that even though the spines have the same stuff on them, it's a little bit thicker. Okay? You can't tell really like this very well. It's easier, I guess, if you look at it spine to spine. But notice there a very slight difference in the thickness of the spine on the UK one versus the US one. And then the UK one still has the logos on top and bottom. But remember, the US one, I can open it from the front, or I can open it from the back. Yeah, the UK one is designed with a back that's nice and thick, so it's symmetrical. That looks like it's going to be like the back on the US one that will open, but it doesn't. The back on the UK one is attached. It does not open. Okay? Even though, again, it kind of looks like it should in the way that it's designed here. It's only the front that's going to open, and inside, there's where your films will be. Now, since we haven't actually looked at these from the UK from this year, I'll point out these here and some of their differences as well. So this is A New Hope, and they all kind of follow a similar pattern, so we don't have to look at each one. But notice at the top what it says. Limited edition. Nothing about widescreen. Look at the US one. Yeah, it says limited edition, but it says widescreen over top of it. The art is then essentially the same. Get down to the bottom. Digitally mastered for superior sound and picture quality for THX. Both of those are still the same. Okay. On the US one, DVD down in the bottom corner. On the UK one, DVD down in the bottom corner. But of course, the UK one's got to have the ratings on it by law. So there's your ratings over here. And I did leave the sticker on this one. Limited time only includes the digitally remastered movie plus the original theatrical version. We've seen stickers like that on some of the US variants, like the ones that have the little bits of concept art in them and stuff like that. So we've seen what the US sticker looks like before. The back of the US one, notice covering up the UPC here because it's meant to be sold inside that package here. Information about the film itself, vital stats and all the way down to the bottom. as you would expect on the US release. The UK one, though, not only has to scoot things around a little bit to make room for the ratings, it also has another of these little holographic 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment logos over here to denote it as an official product. As for the spines, both have 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, Star Wars, the name of the film, the number of the film, THX, Lucasfilm logo, and product number, but of course the UK one has to have the ratings on it. The little insert is also similar. The front is pretty much the same on either of them, UK, US, okay? The back is essentially the same. Inside, there's a couple of differences here, a couple main differences. The products on the left-hand side, right, for the different Trilogy films, those all have their UK versions, right? So it says limited edition, but not widescreen limited edition at the top. Whereas if you look at the US one, they do have widescreen listed. Also, if you look in the US, where it advertises Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, it's showing a package from the Xbox. Whereas if you look at the UK one, it's showing a package for the PC version of it. And for the record, no, that is not just a distinction of packaging. Remember, these have demos for that game actually on the discs. Well, the demo will play in an Xbox in the US. The demo would play on PC in the UK. So it's not just the advertising there. There is a difference of platform for the demo that's included. The film discs also have some variants. That's the US one. Postery background there. Image of the film. Widescreen in gold over the number. Disc 1 in gold under the number. FBI warning at the bottom. This is the updated 2006 version of the labels we would also see in 2008. Whereas your UK version, a little bit brighter color. Nothing labeled above or below the number on the logo. No FBI warning, of course, because it's the UK. And on the bottom, your region information, DVD, copy protected, and your individual ratings for the UK and Ireland. And holy crap, I said it correct that time instead of saying UK and Scotland on the first try. Okay, so variations there as well. Then your bonus disc with the original version, supposedly. There's the US one, right? Image up at the top. Logo, where it says bonus disc underneath, and then has the FBI warning off there to the left. Whereas the UK version does label this as bonus disc, right? But then, of course, doesn't have to have an FBI warning and has all of its required stuff like region, copy protected, ratings, and so forth around the symbol there. And those distinctions go across the product line. So, right, it's a limited edition, ratings, ratings in hologram, ratings on the spine. We'll see similar stuff if we were to pull out this little insert and look at the products on the inside. PC demo for Lego Star Wars, PC version shown, UK version of the individual film shown. Similar discs, except of course for the ratings and what's included, and the UK not labeling disc 1 or as widescreen. And then the same thing with Return of the Jedi. Of course, with Return of the Jedi, there's a slight difference in that they move the hologram down to the side. But then effectively similar setup for that film as well. So in essence, two products that look like they're the same thing or look a lot alike on their face. They really are a lot alike, but which have specific distinctions to help us determine which region we're looking at, both for the packaging of the films and the discs inside, and for the packaging of the tin itself and the little cardboard cup that goes around it. So if someone tries to sell you a collector's tin set from 2006, and there's no cardboard on it, you should still be able to tell by the width, by the back, and by the contents inside whether what you're about to buy is from the UK or the US. And again, I don't have an Australian copy on hand at this point. That's not a region I've really started collecting from, but there is an Australian version that came out a year later that says 30th anniversary running along the top. So yes, collector's tins were available other than at Best Buy, just not in the US. It was a multi-region tin exclusive to certain retailers in certain markets. Think of it similarly to the way they handle steelbooks today. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.